Ladies and gentlemen, the Near Fall Network proudly brings to you the modern-day Micah Russia, the guru of grappling gab, the one, the only, Shooter!
Say hello to the ball guy, and welcome to another episode of Drive-By with Shooter. As always, thanks for stopping in and checking out what I do. Before I go into today's show, I want to ask a favor. If you're listening to this specifically on iTunes, whether you're streaming it or downloading it, if you could do me a solid, hit the subscribe button, and then after you do that, this is even more important, leave me a review, preferably 5 stars. I know I'm not recording this in Tokyo, so it might be hard to hit that 5-star goal for everyone, but just do me a favor and leave me a review, preferably 5 stars. It helps the show get noticed a little more on iTunes, and I need to grow this audience, and I need more people to interact with and talk to, and just to be in this wrestling family that is our Near Fall Network. Another thing, I want to point you in a direction. It's gotten a lot of views for us. It's gotten a lot of views on YouTube. I started a new show on the Near Fall Network YouTube channel. It's fun. It's funny, which is what it's supposed to be. Basically, I sit down with my dear wife and we talk about pro wrestling. The catch is my wife really doesn't know very much about pro wrestling. So that's where the funny lies in. She looks at it completely from the casual point of view of a female who, I mean, you know, I watch it for the athleticism, the storytelling, you know, the drama, the guy soap opera part of it, plus the fact that, hey, there's women that can go and are also good to look at in this sport. She looks at it from the aspect of my husband's watching this. So I'll just glance at it, and those guys are sweaty and hot, and I like looking at them as well. So, and she's not shy about it, and she'll tell you about it, and she'll tell you how she feels, and it's fun. We sit down, drink a little bit of wine, or beer in my case, sometimes something else, and we talk about wrestling. Be different kind of segments every time I do it. It won't be exactly the same, but it'll be similar. I'll do different things for each episode. Probably going to go monthly with this. I don't want to do a ton. It's a lot of editing and fine tuning and this and that. And I think the first one had a lot more potential, but I was starting to learn things as I go. So I think it'll get better and better each time. But go check that out on our YouTube channel. It's a fun little episode. There's links on our Facebook page, and also, like I said, just search Near Fall Network on YouTube. The title of the show is Slightly Intoxicated Super Casual Female Wrestling Fan. It's a fun thing, so go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. Now, to our main event of the day, topics in pro wrestling and topics in WWE. Specifically, very WWE heavy this week, and that makes sense. We're coming into a very big, exciting, and busy time in WWE, heading into the road to WrestleMania, which will start in a couple weeks at the Royal Rumble. But before that, we're heading into Raw 25 next week. As you're listening to this today, you know, on Saturday, we're going right in this Monday to Raw 25. A lot of big names have been announced. A lot of people from Stone Cold to DX to the New Age Outlaws to Bruce Pritchard himself as Brother Love. I mean, the names are just amazing. I'm excited for the show. I hope that it comes off well. I'm excited to see what it looks like in the Manhattan Center, if they go old school or if they go a little bit of new school and old school. I'm sure there'll be some kind of original aspect to it as much as they can do. And there's been a lot of talk about, is the Revival going to get buried because of the promo they gave this week on Raw? Guys, I don't know. You know, yes, the Ascension came out and talked smack on some really good tag teams and then got buried and drifted off into Nowheresville, Nowhere Land, you know, whatever you want to call it. Do I think this is going to happen to the Revival? I don't. And even if they go down to, say, a New Age Outlaw or an Outsiders, which I believe as of this recording, Kevin Nash is not going to make the show now. Something with his knee, he just had surgery, and it's just going to be impossible for him to fly comfortably, so he's sitting this one out and apologizes. And that sucks, but it is what it is. But anyway, I mean, I don't want to sit here and say if the Revival, takes bumps for an old, throwback team or guy that it is going to kill him. It certainly hasn't helped people in the past, but let's just stop jumping to conclusions and see what happens. I know it's easy to do that with everything that goes on in WWE, but sometimes we just need to let things play out and see where we go. And speaking of letting things play out, a huge story broke this week, and it's kind of an odd one, and that is the story of Roman Reigns and this steroid dealer. This individual who was arrested, I believe, in 2017, a video surfaced of him talking about his clients and who he supplied. I don't even know why. This video is from jail, and he mentions Roman Reigns. Now, Roman has since come out and said, I don't even know who this guy is. I don't know the company that he's claiming to work for, or, his company that he claimed, whatever. Like, never heard of either of these guys. I got in trouble before, and I've been passing, I think he said he passed something like 11 WWE drug tests since then. I'm going to take a couple of stances on this. For one, this dude is in jail just throwing names out. I don't know if they're legit. I don't know if he's trying to, save face. I don't know if he's just doing it to do it. I don't know. And while I haven't seen the video, I have heard it reported on. I have heard he also named Josh Duhamel, and he messed up his last name when saying it. He said Mark Wahlberg, like nobody calls him that. And then he says Roman Reigns. And I also have a hard time thinking, I guess I would think if you were a drug dealer who was dealing steroids and one of your clients was a pro wrestler, you would probably know them by their real name as well as their professional wrestling name, and you would probably 9 times out of 10 say their real name and their wrestling name rather than just their wrestling name. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But here's the other side of this. I don't care. This might be a bold statement, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's all this talk, and there's still talk that Jinder's on the juice and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And while I've sat here and give you reasons why he might not be, I also have sat here and said I can't tell you for one way or another, because I can see where people say what they say, but at the same time, you have to be completely educated on this stuff, and most people, let's face it, they aren't. That being said, I also don't care if a pro wrestler takes steroids. It does nothing to me. It does nothing to affect anybody but them. Okay? I'm going to put this out to you guys, this whole roid rage thing. It's, and I've said this before on a show, but it's a myth. Okay? Taking an anabolic steroid does not make you a rage monster. If you by chance happen to be an asshole in your everyday regular life and you take a steroid, you may be a bigger asshole because you have a lot more hormones coursing through your body. Okay? When women get pregnant, sometimes they can be more emotional or they can fly off the handle. But someone who wouldn't kill somebody is not going to rage on steroids and kill somebody. If they wouldn't do it without the steroids, they're not going to do it because of the steroids. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So really, if there is a danger to steroids, which I know there's all kind of reports that say one thing and there's all kind of reports that say the exact opposite. So the bottom line is with almost anything, you have to do it in moderation. If you abuse steroids, you can damage your body. That being said, it's Roman's body. He's not going to be fiending for them. He's not going to be addicted to them. He's not going to be robbing houses to get his steroid fix if he leaves the WWE. That's not going to happen. None of these guys are. That's not how this shit works. So that being said, I could care less I don't care if the NFL guys do it. I don't care if the NHL, the NBA, the MLB. I don't care. most pro athletes are on some kind of performance enhancing drug, whether they will admit to it or not, whether they pass the test or not. And the bottom line is, I don't care. As a fan, I don't care. It doesn't affect me one way or other. I don't think somebody is a cheater for doing it, because everybody's doing it. And you can sit here, you can tell me that's a cop-out answer, but I don't care. I don't want to see scrawny guys who can't hit the ball out of the park in a baseball game. I want to see big dudes knocking the shit out of those balls and throwing them and tossing them over the stadium wall. It's more entertaining. Just like, you know why James Ellsworth was a joke in the WWE? And this is no offense to James Ellsworth. He seems like a super cool dude. I'd love to sit down and talk to him at some point in time. But his physique was nothing like anybody else on the roster in a bad way. He wasn't believable to hurt anybody in any single way other than himself, when he almost killed himself taking a Styles class. And the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, saved his damn life. Do you want to see a wrestling federation filled with a bunch of James Ellsworth lookalikes? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that every dude on the roster is gassing. I don't know. And I don't think. There's some definitely some guys that stand out. John Cena is someone who, for his whole career, has never really gotten a reputation of maybe taking anything. And he could definitely be one of those guys who, by looking at him, you could say he might take something. He heals quicker. He's bigger. He's ripped. But the dude's been tested clean for how long? So you can't just put a guy in a category and say, well, he looks like this, so obviously it's true. I don't think Roman looks like the kind of guy who would be juicing. He doesn't. He looks like an average big dude, and that's fine. He's bigger than a normal guy. He's taller than a normal guy. He's got more muscle mass. He's Samoan. It comes with his heritage. I'm good with that. Either way, I'm good with it. But like I said, one way or another, I really do not care if someone is taking steroids or not. It does not affect me at all. It doesn't do anything for me one way or another. Now, all that being said, I get the whole idea that these guys technically, and girls, technically could be looked at as role models for kids. So you don't want kids thinking or knowing that these superheroes that they look up to are taking any type of drug. And I totally get that. And as a parent, I totally get that, and I understand it. WWE hasn't addressed it publicly. I don't know if this whole quote-unquote Adderall thing from a couple years ago, I think it was 2016, was actually this, and maybe he did pop dirty for Roids, and that's why he was suspended. I don't know. I'm on the fence with that. And if that's the case, like, I totally get it. He should be suspended. If he's testing dirty, he should be suspended right now. And that changes a whole lot of things for Rumble, WrestleMania, and everything that is in the works, because I believe that would be a 90-day suspension. I could be wrong. Either way, I get when you look from a public aspect of how this has to look, how they have to do things, certain things need to be done a certain way. I'm on board with that. All I'm saying is, personally, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect anyone around these people for the most part. So I think, you can go to your doctor. If you have low testosterone as a man, you can go to the doctor and get prescribed steroids. Now, granted, you're taking way lower doses. It's not really, it will. The side effect, you will get, more muscle mass, you'll lose a little bit of fat, that kind of thing. But not to the point of, like, say, a bodybuilder who takes steroids. I guess all I'm trying to say is this is a personal decision. I know it's illegal, like, it's a law, and that, I think, is where the problem comes in. It's illegal to buy and use anabolic steroids. It didn't used to be, but it is, and it has been for years. So you're breaking the law. And this is just like the DWI that one of the Usos got. I think it was Jay Uso. If I said the wrong one, I apologize. So anytime a law is broken and they can prove that a law is broken, now your company, who's a public company, has to get involved and has to look like they're coming down on you at some point. They have to basically they don't have to publicly embarrass you on TV, but there has to be some kind of consequence. I would assume we're going to see some kind of consequence for the DWI for the USO. I don't know. I don't want to see that team, who is the greatest tag team in professional wrestling right now, and especially in the WWE, get sidelined because of some stupid decision. And the same with Roman. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it at all, because these guys are doing fantastic work right now. I guess the bottom line is, for some things we have to make smarter decisions, and for some things, if it doesn't affect other people, then personally, I could give a rat's ass. Guys, I want to talk about another big piece of news that literally broke after I recorded last week's show, and it also broke my heart. Hang tight, your voice of reason is coming right back. Welcome back. Last week, as I said, a news story broke literally as I was finishing up recording this show and getting ready to go produce it and put everything together. And that was the story, or I guess breaking news, that Paige was not going to be cleared by WWE doctors. Now, Monday has come and gone. You know, this rumor actually started with stories that on Raw she would give the Edge/Daniel Bryan retirement speech, basically bringing her career as an in-ring performer in WWE to an end. That did not happen this past Monday. Although she was pulled from the Rumble, she did not give a speech stating that she was retiring. She did not officially announce the end of her in-ring career. I don't know how to take this. I don't know if that's a good sign. I mean, I kind of would think that that's a good sign, that they haven't made her go out and announce, hey, this is the end of the road for me. But at the same time, I don't want to look too much past that. It might be a timing thing. You know, I've heard people suggest maybe they want her to wait and do it on Raw 25 to make Raw 25 more special. That doesn't sound like a good idea to me. That's a downer. When someone is doing what they love and performing and entertaining, and it gets taken away from them because of an injury, that's not something you want to put on an anniversary show, in my opinion. That's way more of a downer. It's not something you want to think about when you think about the anniversary of a show being on TV for 25 years. It's no good. So that, I would be shocked if they used the 25th anniversary for Paige to announce that she's retiring from in-ring wrestling, at least in the WWE. Because, of course, there's always a chance that she could get cleared by another doctor and work in another promotion. That's not out of the question. But the thing that kind of, as sad as this is, and, you know, I've talked a lot on this show about Paige, you know, back when she was not really a part of the company at the time. She was off, she was recovering, and she had her whole sex tape scandal, I guess is the right way to put it, and just the bad things that just seemed to keep happening in her life over and over again. But I want to clear something up. I saw a Facebook page, I would just keep the name to myself, and I don't want to call them out about this, but one of their admins did a rant, and I totally understood what he was saying, and I'm not even calling him out, but I had some problems with it. You know, and he was defending Sasha because a lot of people were bashing Sasha. And that's the one thing he got right. We can't bash Sasha Banks for this. And Sasha did not injure Paige. Sasha is not the reason that Paige's neck is messed up. The kick that Sasha threw maybe aggravated this and showed that there was more problems than what they originally thought. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different ballgame. And you want to look at it like this. If the kick that Sasha threw was enough to cause the symptoms that put Paige in the position she was in that ring, then thank God that happened. Because if she had taken any other variety of bumps in the ring, any variety of suplex or backdrops or anything like that, it might have killed her. And God, we don't need that. No one would ever want to see that happen. That's just horrendous. So what I'm saying is this botch, quote unquote, that people keep talking about, that it's all Sasha's fault, that Paige's career's over. It's not even close to being remotely a responsibility of Sasha. It was reported that they had done that spot at least one other time, if not a couple other times on the house show loops. It's not an unfamiliar spot. It just happened. And again, this to me, more than anything, goes into the vulnerability that Paige is at and the seriousness of her injury. Now, it was also brought up in this rant that I watched that, Paige on Lillian Garcia's podcast basically said, she didn't wear the neck brace that she was supposed to after the surgery. She wore it for going to the office and then took it off. And although that's not exactly how it was worded, she clearly didn't take the rehab seriously. She didn't do what she needed to do to get healed. She did what she wanted to do to get back. And that's two different things. And that again puts a lot of this on Paige's own shoulders. Plus you have to factor in the fact that she's been wrestling since she was 13, 14 years old, taking bumps. And when you look at this from a physiological standpoint, which I can do, the body is growing and changing. And you don't have to have much knowledge other than have gone through puberty to know that at that age, 13, 14, 15, things are a-changing, and nothing is matured. Your muscle isn't mature. Your bones and your growth plates are still growing, stretching, hardening. So all this bumping at that early age could not have been good for her, and I'm sure contributed to the situation that she's in now. A lot of people were giving WWE flack, which I don't understand. They have this stigma because of CM Punk, because of Ryback. And again, I'm not saying the company's perfect. I'm not sitting here just trying to be a WWE show and say that everything they do is right, nothing they do is wrong. They wouldn't do something inappropriate with a superstar that health-wise. It happens. I don't think anything's intentional. I don't think, Jeff Hardy is a really good example because at least from everything that I've read and heard, his shoulder was bothering him, his arm, I can't remember what his exact injury is, was bothering him early in their return. Yet, he didn't really tell anyone, and then he thought he could push through it, and then when he did tell him, he said, it's not that bad, I can push through it. He pushed himself and pushed himself until it got worse to the point where he had to take time off, get the surgery he needed, get fixed up and healed up, and get everything going the way that it should so he can come back. That's not WWE's fault. They don't have a crystal ball. They can't sit here and tell a guy, hey, you're injured, because we can just look in this crystal ball and know. If someone's coming back and saying they're fine after a match, they have to go on that. They don't have a right to just physically examine someone at any time they want to and take x-rays and do MRIs. One, it's a waste of money. And two, it's up to the individual to safeguard themselves. Now, a lot of guys, they don't want to lose the money. They don't want to be off the road. They don't want to lose their spot. It's very understandable, but it's not right. And it leads to things like this. And it leads to when there's a legit serious injury and it's possibly because of something that has been ignored. And well, now it's the company's fault. And that's just ludicrous to me. You can't blame WWE. If, you read a report where they said they knew Paige had a neck injury and they told her, work or you're fired and we don't care what happens to you, then it's their fault. But until that surfaces, you can't. They're a publicly traded company. They have to look out for the health of these superstars. That's why they have the wellness program. That's why that's why Daniel Bryan, as far as we know today, possibly, is not cleared. He's been cleared by multiple doctors except the WWE doctors, and that's because they're in a lawsuit for head injuries. They, are trying to get things cleared up on that end, and you got a guy who, again, this is the same thing that I was just talking about, lied on, and he's admitted to it. This is his own fault. He lied to them about his concussions. He did not explain to them when he had concussions. He did not let them know how bad things were, and they got worse, and now he can't wrestle. The key thing is reporting injuries when injuries happen. Otherwise, nobody knows, and things get worse. So putting blame on people, accidents happen in the ring, and it's super cliche. It ain't ballet. And they say that. Every wrestler says that. Because it's not. It's a hard sport. It's physical, and things happen. You never want to see someone get hurt. You never want to see someone get injured. But it does happen. And that being said, the Sasha Page situation, that was not a botch. That was not it might have been a miscue or miscommunication, but bottom line, like I said, if that kick was enough to put her down where she couldn't feel her arms, then there's a bigger problem at hand, and that kick probably saved her life. And that's just how you got to look at it. You got to report when you don't feel well, you don't feel right. These men and women know their body. Any athlete that can achieve what they can do and train the way they do and perform the way they do knows when something's not right with their body. Most average people can tell. So when you're that in tune as they are, trust me, they know. They know when something's broke. They know when something popped. They know when something tore, or they just know, hey, I'm not sure what it is, but something's definitely wrong. They know. So you have to put the responsibility where it's at. Once it's reported, if things go downhill from there, then you can start shifting blame around. But before that happens, you can't do that. And this shouldn't be a blame game anyway. This is a tragic situation. If Paige is forced to retire from something she loves so young, it's shitty for her, it's shitty for the fans, and it's shitty for the company because there's so much left to do for all of them. Alright, welcome back. We're rolling into Raw 25 this Monday, and we've been talking about it, talking about all the possibilities, but it was really funny because yesterday, Friday morning, I go through Twitter, the Near Fall Network's Twitter, and I see that Dave Meltzer has gone on this tear with fans, and I'm not going to sit here and break the whole thing down, but he's basically talking about how Raw is not the longest running TV show in history of TV. And look, I'm not going to sit here and split hairs. That's ridiculous. Okay. For one, this is my first thing that I just have to say. I don't know how it breaks down or what the logistics of what it qualifies. I know they always say the longest running episodic TV show in history. To me, without doing any research, that tells me they're the longest running show that does weekly episodes every single week without a break, because they don't take a break. Every TV show takes a break. Every sport has an off season. I'm a Walking Dead fan, and guess what? We get 8 episodes in the fall, get a 2 or 3 month break, 8 episodes in the late winter or early spring, and then we go to the full off season until they come back in the fall again. And WWE does not do that. But Meltzer's up here splitting hairs, and I don't know if any of you have interacted with Dave Meltzer on Twitter, but he comes off very, very smug, and I just got to the point where I was so irritated with what he was saying that I just wanted to, if I knew the guy, I would strangle him. I saw a tweet that was within a tweet if that makes sense. I only saw it because I was kind of trying to expand and see where because he's arguing with fans about how Raw, this 25th anniversary, is basically not a big deal because they're lying. They're not the longest running show on TV. He's naming like stuff in Japan, which that's Japan. Like, I don't know why this guy has such a hard on for Japan things, but he totally does. And we're talking about America anyway. Let's be honest. That's what we're talking about. It's American TV. That's their bread and butter. That's what we're talking about. But that's neither here nor there. You can sit here and split hairs with fans all you want. That's fine. But what pissed me off, what Meltzer did that pissed me off, is he quote tweeted Eric Bischoff, where Bischoff had basically sent out a tweet saying something to the effect of he's going to have an awesome time at Raw 25 celebrating, seeing all his friends that he misses and celebrating being part of television history. And Dave Meltzer, quote tweeted that. And all he put above it was a link to a Wikipedia page that was full of shows that have ran for 50, 60 years plus. I want you to just sink that in. His passive-aggressive, smug, smart-ass response was, here's a link that says you're a piece of shit and you didn't make history. What an asshole. That is an asshole thing to do. And no explanation. Like, most of the shows that popped up I didn't go through the list, but I did glance at it. Most of the shows were news or, NFL, because NFL's been on TV forever. But again, there's an off season. It's not a scripted show. The news is not a scripted show. This is a creative show that is written and produced normally 52 weeks out of the year, every single year for the last 25 years. I don't care if it isn't the longest running thing ever. It doesn't matter. It's impressive, and you cannot take that away. And remember, we're talking about wrestling. Everything they do is always the greatest. That's what they tell us. WrestleMania 34 is the greatest WrestleMania card they've ever put together. Just like WrestleMania 33 was, and so was 32, 31, and 30. They say that shit every year. So, like, even if they're embellishing a little bit, are we really going to sit on Twitter and fight about it? Like, it's silly, and you're a grown man who, like, I totally understand and respect you're the master of the dirt sheets. I get it. But the fact that you're splitting hairs about whether this is or isn't the longest running show on TV, and it is one thing, but then when you literally tweet someone who's involved in it and feeling a sense of pride, and Bischoff is like, he could have not even been included in this from the beginning. He could have never showed up on Raw ever back in the day. He was the rival company. He was literally trying to put Vince out of business. Vince put that aside, knew that he was best for business, hired him. It became a thing. He had a pretty decent run in WWE, is now known kind of for being part of Monday Night Raw. And he's happy about it, and he's celebrating it, and you're just going to be a smug dick and quote tweet him a frickin' link to a Wikipedia page that says, haha, I'm right, you're wrong. I just don't understand where you get off on that, Dave. I really don't. I know you're not going to hear this, but, I've interacted with Meltzer on Twitter, and he'll put stuff out there, and then when you ask a question about it, he'll be like, well, read my newsletter, or subscribe to my newsletter, then you'll know the answer. Like, come on, dude. Like, if you're going to put stuff out there, then answer it. Don't be a dick. Don't push your agenda on other people just to get a response. It's annoying. And every time, the more I get, how do I want to phrase this? The more I see from Dave Meltzer on Twitter, the more I dislike the guy. If it's in Japan, he loves it. And that's fine. But, I listen to other shows. I listen to the Pritchard show. I listen to the Tony Schiavone show. And these guys bury Meltzer all the time. And I totally see why. Because he's very insulting to anything that they do. But he loves everything that everybody else does. Like, he's a huge Young Bucks mark, which is great. Young Bucks are great. They might not be for everybody, but they're great. And they're awesome. They clearly are awesome at what they do. Meltzer loves them and will put anything that they do over. Anything that gets done in Japan, he freaking loves it, if Raw 25 happened in a Tokyo Dome, it would be a 7-star show. And that's just the way it is. But when you show your bias that much, it makes you lose a ton of credibility. Guys, thank you so much for checking out what I do. Again, check us out on the Facebook page, facebook.com/nearfall network. Check out our YouTube. Check out the new shows that are coming. I say it every week. It's been real. It's been fun. We'll catch you next time.